Now the next is, we have just studied about the variation, and these variations sometimes they may help the organism to survive, sometimes they may not help the organism to survive. So the first example which we are going to study about, that is the variation which help the organism to survive. And actually with the help of this example, we are going to understand about the concept of natural selection. So we can do it in the form of a story. Once upon a time, there lived the group of beetles. These particular beetles, they were living in green bushes. Now these beetles, they were feeding on the green bushes, and these beetles, they were being eaten by the crows. Now what happened? At the time of reproduction, a variation arises. These beetles, they were red in color, they were feeding on the green bushes, and these beetles were being eaten by the crows. At the time of reproduction, a color variation arises, and one of the beetle becomes green in color. Now the green color beetle, it can easily hide itself in the green bushes. So after, we can say, few months, after few days, what would happen? The green colored beetle, they are not visible to the crows, and they are not eaten by them. Then gradually the population of red beetle, it decreases, and the population of the green beetle increases. So this particular kind of variation which happen at the time of reproduction, it has helped the organism to survive. This is the concept of natural selection. Natural selection means variation which gives some kind of survival advantage. Because green color, what it was giving survival advantage to the beetle. So nature has naturally selected that particular green color. So this is the concept of natural selection. The second example, again there is a population of red beetle living in green bushes. The beetles were feeding on the bushes, and these beetles were being eaten by the crows. Again at the time of reproduction, a variation arises, and one of the beetle, it becomes blue in color. Now in this particular context, the crow was very happy. They can actually eat red color also, they can actually eat blue color also. So they were having variety in their diet. Okay, now what happened then? Elephant came nearby and he stamped on the bushes. Now because the population was not very large, it was a small population, an elephant came nearby and he stamped on the bushes. So fortunately the few beetles which were able to survive, they were blue in color. So again the color changed from red to blue. But this particular change, the blue colored beetle, it was not giving any kind of survival advantage. It just happened by chance, it just happened because of accident. So it is the concept of genetic drift, accidental change in the frequency of the genes, but this is not giving any kind of survival advantage, it is not giving any kind of adaptation. So this is the second example, genetic drift. Now the third is, some traits are inherited traits which we get from our parents. Some traits are acquired traits which we acquire from the environment. For example, the trait of spoken English, the trait of playing some kind of musical instrument, all these traits which we actually acquire from the environment. Now the example which they had given, if the population of the beetle increases and the plants or the bushes, they are being affected by some kind of disease. So the food which is available to the beetle, it will decrease. So what would happen to the, we can say, health or to the body weight of the beetle? It will also decrease. Now if after a few years that particular disease, it is being eliminated, so again what would happen? The body weight of the beetle would also increase. So we can say the trait of low weight, it is an example of an acquired trait, because they were not getting enough amount of food, so that the weight, it decreases. When they were getting sufficient amount of nutrition, the weight also increases. So we can say natural selection, genetic drift, actually these are the two factors which direct the process of evolution. Acquired trait, they can never direct the process of evolution. So this is just an example to show that the variation may or may not help the organism to survive. It is not always essential that whenever variation will occur, it will give some kind of survival advantage. Sometimes it might give, sometimes it might not give. Now, the next is speciation. What do you understand by the term speciation? That is the formation of new species from the existing species. And this particular thing, it cannot take place in 1 year or 100 years. It will take lots and million of years. It's not something like this, even the variation had started accumulating. So after 10 years, human population will get extinct. It is nothing like this. It is an ongoing process, and it keeps on taking place gradually and slowly. Now there are various factors for the process of speciation. We are having physical barriers, which we can also call as geographical isolation, genetic drift, natural selection, migration. Now can we understand it like this? For example, there is a population of, again, beetle. Beetle is a kind of an insect. Okay, so it is being spread over a wide mountain range. Suppose a geographical barrier comes up in between, due to which beetle population, it is subdivided into two subpopulation, population 1 and population 2. So if you look at this particular slide, they are talking about physical barrier. So physical barrier means due to some kind of geographical barrier. It might be river, it might be lake, it might be mountain, anything. Because of that, that particular population separate into two. So this is one of the factors which actually contribute to the process of speciation. Now after this, the two population, that particular population, it is subdivided into two subpopulation, population 1, population 2. Now those particular individuals, they are present in their respective population, they cannot interbreed. They are interbreeding among themselves, but they are not able to interbreed with each other. Now we can say in population 1, some kind of accident, a genetic drift must have taken place, some kind of accident, some kind of natural disaster. So some variation will take place. In population P2, again some kind of natural selection have taken place. So again variation will take place. After thousand and million of years, when we try to interbreed, the individual of population 1 with population 2, they fail to interbreed because reproductive isolation has taken place. One thing which you need to understand is this: the phenomena of speciation, it starts with geographical isolation or with physical barrier, and natural selection and genetic drift, they keep on adding the variation, they keep on adding variation and differences in the gene of the organism, but reproductive isolation is the main factor. Reproductive isolation means that the two individuals from different subpopulation or from the same population, they had become so different from each other that they failed to interbreed among themselves. Initially, both the individual of population of beetle, they must be having same chromosome number. For example, 44, for example, 22, whatever. But after this particular process, after thousands and millions of years, because both of them, they are living in separate geographical condition, thus they are meeting different kind of challenges. So much changes took place in their body, in their genes, that their chromosome number have changed. So we can say that reproductive isolation has taken place, due to which they fail to interbreed. It might be possible, there must be geographical barrier, there must be natural selection, there must be genetic drift, but until and unless reproductive isolation will not take place, new species cannot be formed. So the various factors for speciation would be geographical barrier, genetic drift, natural selection, but the most important factor is reproductive isolation. As the term indicates, that the reproductive cells, they become different from each other, they fail to interbreed among themselves. And why it will happen? Because chromosome number is changed. So this is about speciation, that is formation of new species from the existing species. Next is evolution. So in the beginning of the chapter, I just told you that we are going to talk about heredity and evolution. So we have just had a crisp view of heredity, what are the various terms related to heredity, what are the rules for the inheritance. So now we are going to talk about evolution. Evolution, as I told you, that the speciation also cannot take place in 1 year or in 100 years. In the same way, evolution also takes place gradually. It is the gradual change which takes place in living organism, giving rise to new organism due to change in their genetic composition. This particular term is known as evolution. Now we are having two types of traits: inherited trait, the traits which we acquire or which we get from our parents, and we cannot change it. If we are being born with a dark skin, we cannot change that particular skin unless we undergo a cosmetic surgery. But inherited traits are the traits which we get from our parents. Acquired trait, for example, any kind of change in the skin color after the birth, any kind of plastic surgery which we are doing, that all is acquired trait which we are acquiring from the environment. But all these plastic surgery, they cannot be passed on to your children. Acquired trait are the traits which are acquired by an organism from during its lifetime, and it cannot be passed from one generation to the other generation. It remains only in the somatic cells. It is not being passed to the reproductive cell. Now there are various evidences which actually tell us that how does the process of evolution have taken place. So these three evidences are homologous organ, analogous organ, and fossils. Now as the term indicate, homologous organ, homo means same. That is the organs which are similar in structure but they are different in function. For example, the forelimb of amphibian, reptile, bird and mammal, they are having similar structure. They are having pentadactyl structure of bone, but all the forelimb, they are being adapted to perform different kind of function. For example, frog, it uses its forelimb to raise the front of the body. Lizard, it uses its forelimb for walking and running. Birds' forelimb are modified for flying. Mammal use their forelimb for grasping, running, swimming. So this is homologous organ. Structure is similar, but when during the course of evolution, the same organ, they are adapted for different function. This is homologous organ. The second, these are the we can say the diagram of the homologous organ. They just want to show that they are having the same skeletal structure. Now, analogous organ. Analogous organ are those organs which are different in structure but similar in function. For example, bat wing, bird wing, insect wing. If we look in a broader way, they look same. The function is also same. All the wing, they are being used for flying. But what is bat wing? It is the, we can say bat wing, and if you want to look at the structure of the bone also, that is also different. Bird wing, it is the forelimb which is being modified for flying. Bat wing is the skin fold stretched between elongated forefinger, and the insect wing are the membranous fold. They might look same. The function is also same, but actually they are not similar. They have undertaken same function so that they are able to survive in the changing condition. That is analogous organ. We can say different basic structure but similar function. Again, the function is same so that they are able to survive, they are able to evolve. The next is fossils. What are fossils? That you must have done in your junior class also. These are the remains of those particular organisms which lived long ago. From the study of the fossil, we can actually know what kind of structure, in which particular time period these particular organisms lived. The fossils of the complex and recent organism, they are being found closer to the surface of the earth, and the fossils of simpler organism, they are found deeper inside the earth. So actually fossils just tell us that what kind of environmental condition was there at that particular time in remote past, what might be the structure of the organism, and the age of the fossil, it can be determined by two techniques. First is radiocarbon dating and the second method is relative method. Relative method is a very simple method. When we dig into the earth, the fossil which is found closer to the surface of the earth, we say that it is recent in origin. The fossil which is found deeper on the surface of the earth, we say that it is this particular fossil, it has been found long back. Now the next is evolution by stages. Whatever organs are there or whatever organisms are there, they cannot be found in 1 year or in 2 years or in few days or in 100 of years. Any particular organ, it might be eye, it might be feather, all the organ, they might be giving some kind of survival advantage. For example, if we are going to talk about evolution of eyes. So if we look at the eyes of planaria, which is an example of a very simple organism. In case of eyes of planaria, it is an eye spot which is just used to detect light. Now, as the process of evolution takes place, this particular eye, it gradually developed into complex organ in higher animals. In the same way, feathers, they first developed in dinosaur and they were being used to give them warmth. Later on, when birds evolved, the same feather were being adapted for flight. So the same organ can be used in different ways in different species of organism as per their need. In the same way, in some cases, for example, in case of planaria, the structure of eye is very simple, just like an eye spot. In case of human eye, in case of eye of octopus, the structure will be different as per the need of the organism, as per the function of the organism. Now the next is artificial selection. In the previous concept, we have just talked about the natural selection. Natural selection means nature naturally select those particular traits or those particular variation which were giving some kind of survival advantage to the organism. In the same way, artificial selection means that the human, they actually introduce desirable trait either in the plant or in the animal as per their need. If you look at the wild cabbage, humans actually cultivated wild cabbage for over 2000 years and then they produce different vegetable which actually can meet their own need by the process of artificial selection. So artificial selection, it is not being done by the nature, it is being done by the human being for their own benefit. They actually make some kind of changes with the help of genetic engineering or with any other advanced technology. So we are having cabbage because we wanted some short distance between the leaves. We were having cauliflower because we want some kind of sterile flower. We are having kale, kohlrabi, broccoli as per our need. Now this is if you want to look at the diagram of embryology, they just want to make you understand one thing, that in the initial stage, all the embryo, they look alike. As the embryo, they keep on evolving, the change also keep on taking place. Now the next is that the evolution is taking place, but it should not be equated with progress. Why we are saying this? This only means that what is evolution? Evolution, it's just like a tree and the different species, they are the different branches which are present in the tree, and the evolution does not mean that the simpler organism, they will get eliminated. The simpler organism along with advanced organism, both of them, they will survive together. It is only those particular species which are not able to adjust themselves as per the change in the environment, only those particular species will get eliminated. For example, even today, bacteria is here, though bacteria is a very simple and we can say primitive organism. The bacteria have evolved long back. The evolution, it should not be equated with progress. The only progress during the evolution is that we are having more and more advanced body design. More and more advanced body design comes into the existence, but that does not mean that the simpler body design, they have got eliminated. Simple as well as advanced body design, all the kind of organism, they exist on planet Earth. Species, they get eliminated only if they are not able to adapt themselves as per to the changes in the environment. And human beings, they have also not evolved from chimpanzee. This is also a misconception. They had a common ancestor long back, and after that they all have evolved separately. Human beings, we are not at the topmost position of the evolution because evolution is still taking place. We are only one of the advanced species, but we cannot say that now the evolution will not take place. Evolution will take place now also. Now the last is human evolution. So there is a great diversity if you are going to look among human beings in their form and features around the world. Human beings, they evolved in Africa. Some of them stayed there, and the other they migrated to the different parts of the color. Then due to genetic variation and the environmental change in different geographical regions, they developed changes in their form and features. So you can just look at this particular slide. How does the process of human evolution have taken place? So we can just say that the human evolution, the skin color is the most identifying feature by which we can distinguish between different kind of human races. But genetically we all are similar because our chromosome number is same, that is 46. I hope this concept might be clear to you. Thank you so much.